Because the thing is that most guys, the biggest mistake that they make is they go too hard, too fast. They are convinced that the only way that they can lose weight is by eating 1,500 calories. What tends to happen is, well, people will find out about calorie deficits. They'll be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna give this a go. They'll find a calorie calculator like the one I've got, or the thousands that are on the internet. They'll plug in their details, they'll get their maintenance number, or they'll get their deficit number. I don't even bother giving you maintenance because I just give you your deficit. Like, you don't really need to know your maintenance, you just need to know the target that you need to hit, right? And I used to give people the maintenance, but it just confused people, so I just give the deficit number. But then they go, well, if that's a 500 calorie deficit, if I just double it, I could get there twice as fast. They're very fixated on the outcome rather than the process. And I get it, we're blokes. This is why we always buy the new iPhone. This is why we want the car that does the 0 to 60 in 0.1 of a second faster. This is exactly what we are wired to do. We are men, so I completely get it. The challenge is that when you go too hard, you go too fast, you end up crashing and burning. And this is one of the big reasons that I talked to you on day 2 about the idea of taking your deficit number and zooming out and look at it as a weekly calorie allowance. So I have front loaded my deficit this week, and I've gone harder on Monday right up until Friday. And then today it's enabled me to have a complete free day where I can basically eat what I want. Now, does that mean I'm gonna have cheesecake, and does that mean I'm gonna eat loads of sweets and drink 2 beers or 10 beers or whatever? No, absolutely not. I'm still gonna be using moderation. I'm still gonna be sensible, but it gives me that freedom. And that freedom is super important because it makes the whole thing sustainable. The magic S word, guys. And if you go too hard, too fast, if you try to diet on 1,500 calories, the problem that you're going to have is you're not going to have enough energy. You see, there's 2 parts to the calorie equation. There's calories in and then there's calories out. And the gap is the deficit, right? But what most guys like to do is drastically lower the number of calories that they're eating and then drastically increase the calories that they're burning. Think of it like a car just being revved at 9,000 RPM. After a while, it's going to break down. You don't need to eat less. You need to be fueling your body so that you have enough energy to move more. Because your food, your fuel, is your fuel. Calories are quite literally a measure of energy. That is what they are. Every calorie is a unit of energy. So the more energy that you have, the more you've got to get up and move. And that's really what we want to be focusing on, guys. Yes, we want to be making sure that we're in a deficit, but we want to make it moderate and we want to make it sustainable. We want to fuel ourselves so that we've got enough in the tank so we can get up and move. Not only that, if you lower your calories far too low, you are going to spike your cortisol levels, your stress hormone. And we've kind of already had this conversation, but what happens when we do that? It makes it very difficult for us to sleep well. You might sleep 7-8 hours, but you wake up with that horrible, wired but tired feeling. You're very groggy in the mornings, and worst of all, you feel like you're running on empty. Everything is down to willpower. Everything is down to motivation. But the problem is that that's a very finite fuel source. It runs out, and it runs out pretty fast, guys. So if you're running on that, yeah, you might be able to do it for the first 10 days of January. But I guarantee you, when you get to this Monday, if you've been doing this, you're going to be like, oh, God, this again? I'm not ready for this. Whereas I'm going to wake up to Monday, I'm going to be like, let's go. I'm ready to go. I've refueled over the weekend and I'm feeling good. Imagine you're coming in. Imagine you're an F1 car and you're pitting. That's kind of how I like to treat the weekends. It doesn't have to be the weekends, but having like a day or 2 where you're bringing your calories right up, not going into your surplus, but just bringing them right up so you're still within your weekly allowance, allows you to refuel. It allows you to enjoy the process, and it gives you a diet break. Now, I want to make it clear. This is not a cheat day. This is not a cheat meal. This is not 5,000 or 6,000 calories. This is not tracking. This is still eating within moderation, but it's having something that's a little bit off plan, something that you wouldn't have on a Tuesday afternoon. It's enjoying the process a little bit more because that's what makes it sustainable. That ultimately is the lifestyle that you want to be building. I actually said it to my friend, isn't it amazing that we are so lucky we can work hard all week and then we can come down here, enjoy a burger together and be in the sunshine. That to me is a good life. You've worked hard, you've emptied the tank, you've given as good as you possibly can, and then you can actually enjoy your weekends. To me, that sounds like a pretty good living. We're healthy, we're trim, everything's working well, we're happy, and things are moving in the right direction. We're working towards our goals, and we have objective data to prove that. We have the measurables. We've been tracking our calories. We know we're hitting our steps. We're progressively overloading in the gym. We're seeing that we're getting good quality sleep. These are things that you cannot do if you're constantly redlining your body, constantly redlining your brain, running on willpower and motivation all the time. It's just not going to work. Like I said to you right at the beginning on day one, what I am trying to teach you here and what I'm trying to give you with this accountability is not another diet. This is not a 30-day sprint, a 30-day diet. This is me helping you to understand the fundamentals of building a healthier lifestyle. That's the most important thing. The challenge you're going to have in February onwards is then sustaining that and building on it. But what I'm hoping we can do in this month, and hopefully we're already doing it, is building the momentum that makes it much easier for you to do that. That's the main thing. If you're starving yourself, if your cortisol is through the roof, your sleep quality is going to be really low, you're going to wake up feeling absolutely terrible, and then everything feels hard. We've talked about the impact of less quality sleep. We've talked about the fact that it means that you're losing muscle and not fat. We've talked about the fact that it means your testosterone is going to be lower, which means everything feels hard. Everything feels more effortful. Going to the gym, getting your steps in. If you are not fueling your muscles, if you are not fueling your brain, everything is going to feel hard. So I really cannot emphasize this point enough, guys. Even if you have a bad week where you don't get your steps in, maybe you're ill, it's January, it's winter, I get it. Things aren't going to go to plan all the time. But even if you have one of those weeks, don't be afraid to eat at maintenance calories for a week. Because in the grand scheme of things, over a month, over a year, you still have the opportunity. You have 51 other opportunities with the weeks to create that deficit and to move in the right direction. The goal, more often than not, and this is more of a life lesson to be honest with you, is not necessarily to win every single week. Some weeks it's just about not losing ground. That's the most important thing. But as long as you're still staying on top of the daily non-negotiable habits, what we talked about on day one, as long as you're still working towards your goal, you've got one eye on the prize, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to rebuild that momentum come the next week. So is this making sense? Does this help? I really hope it does, guys. That's the most important thing because, as I said, calories are our energy, are our energy. If your energy's low, your willpower is going to be low. And the whole system is going to go crumbling. Why? Because it's going to break the foundation of the pyramid that we've talked about, our sleep. So we need to fuel ourselves. Not only that, with the fuel in the tank, you're going to get up, you're going to move, you're going to be able to empty that tank by the end of the day, and you're not going to feel wired. Your brain's not going to be thinking, where's the food? Where's the food? I need food. I had a conversation with a guy the other day and he said, oh yeah, bro, I've just completed a 4-day water fast and I lost 6 kilos. I went, yeah, fantastic. All that's happened there is you've drained your glycogen cells. And when you drain your glycogen, your body doesn't have an ability to bond water to anything. All you've done is piss out 6 kilos. Yeah, maybe you've lost 1 or 2 pounds. And he said, yeah, but I've got so much more energy and I just feel so much better. I said, you don't have more energy, you've got more cortisol. Your brain is going absolutely wild saying, give me food, give me food. Now, is that to say that extended fasts are a terrible thing? No, but are they sustainable? Are you really going to do this in 1 week, 1 year, 5 years time? Of course you're not. Why should you either? You shouldn't have to do that either. So when I hear people doing these extreme protocols at the start of the year, I just kind of shake my head and think, why are you doing this? Anyway, the conversation went on. He said, oh yeah, I'm going to Paris this weekend with the missus and we're going to be getting on it. I was like, this whole thing was completely pointless. You've just put yourself through a load of suffering. He's going to go and get on it this weekend. I guarantee you, next week, he's going to be ill, without a shadow of a doubt. So you want to avoid these extreme cycles, these yo-yos, and that's exactly what the diet industry teaches you to do. Go hard, go fast, go keto, go carnivore, go vegan, quit sugar, juicing diet. None of this stuff works in the long term. They sound sexy. They're a little bit like supplements, right? Someone could come along and say, charge you $100 for some juice cleanse 7-day detox BS and sell you a bunch of fancy named, bright colored juices. It's not going to change your life. I'm not in that industry. I'm not in that business. My business is to helping you build that healthy lifestyle. And we cannot do that if we are running on 1,500 calories. Just to give you some context, when I used to coach women as well, I would never put my women clients less than 1,500 clients, let alone guys. Guys require more energy. We are bigger. We have bigger brains. This is fact, right? I'm not being sexist. It is just fact. We require more energy. So I wouldn't even put a woman on 1,500 calories, let alone a man. The lowest that I would put a man, and I'm talking extreme cases here, would probably be like 1750, 1800 calories. And that's extreme. And even then, I would be encouraging them to move more so we could bump them up to about 2000. Funnily enough, this is one thing that the government does actually get right. It says that the recommended RDA, whatever we call it, recommended daily allowance of calories is about 2000. That's actually about right. 2000, 2500, depending on how active you are and how big you are as a guy, your age, your height, your weight, your sex, all that sort of stuff. That's actually about right. The challenge we have is not that people are necessarily eating a ton more than they should be, it's that they're not moving enough. We live a very sedentary life now. We talked about this the other day. People are living this very comfortable life now. We can do absolutely everything from our phones. Everyone's testosterone is very low. It makes it very difficult to get up and do things. Okay, guys? So we definitely do not want to be lowballing our calories. That is not going to help. Think of it a little bit like you need to put petrol in your car, and if you didn't, your car would break down. It's exactly the same as your body, guys. This is another really good analogy that we can use. So it's not about cutting out food groups. It's not about cutting out carbs or sugar. Yes, we can moderate this stuff. It's not about living on salads either. It's about using our food as fuel. I really want to emphasize this. It's so important. When it comes to creating a sustainable deficit, anything from 250 calories to 500 calories per day. If you've used my calculator, the deficit that I have given you is a 500 calorie deficit. And I've done that very purposefully because it means that you should be losing about 1 pound of fat, not weight, of fat per week. It doesn't mean you need to stick to it religiously. As I've said, you can either zoom out, multiply that number by 7, and that's your weekly allowance. Or if you wanted to, you can actually just add 250 to that number, half your deficit, and accept the fact that you're going to lose weight at half the rate. So you're going to lose about half a pound of fat per week. Is that a bad thing? No, because you're still going in the right direction. And again, if you start now, and if a 250 calorie deficit is going to be more sustainable for you because you've got a crazy life, maybe you travel a lot for work, maybe you've got 4 kids, maybe you work shifts, maybe you do 12-hour days, whatever it might be, maybe your missus is pregnant or you've got a newborn baby, I wouldn't advise you to do 500 calorie deficits. I would say just go to 250 and take your time. In 6 months, in 26 weeks, you're still going to lose 13 pounds. You're still going to lose, what's that, like 6-7 kg of fat. I'm not talking weight here. You might lose more in weight. You probably will lose more in weight. But if you were to lose, let's say it's 10 kg. Let's round it up, say it's 10 kg. A little bit of water, a little bit of fat. And you build some muscle at the same time. Your body is going to look and feel completely different in 6 months' time. Remember what I said to you the other day, guys? Most men overestimate what they can achieve in weeks, in days and weeks, and underestimate what they can achieve in months and years. Whenever you're starting any kind of program, with or without a coach, I want you to be thinking in months and years. I want you to be thinking, is this something that I could do in 5 years' time? This week that we've just done, I want you to ask yourself this question today. This is your task. Could I sustain this week in November? Could I see myself doing this in 10, 11 months' time? And if the answer is no, then you probably need to think about what you need to change. Maybe you need to increase your calories a little bit. Maybe you need to rein in your steps a little bit. Maybe you need to just ease yourself up a little bit. Maybe you need to allow yourself a little bit more freedom with your food. Think about what has gone well for you this week. Think about what you want to change. But most importantly, think about how you can construct this as a lifestyle that you can sustain. Because it's very easy for me to sit here and preach what works for me, but we all have different circumstances. We're all in different places. We all have different life issues. So I can just tell you what works for me and what worked for a lot of my clients. And I've worked with a very wide range of clients coming from lots of different backgrounds and all sorts of locations and stuff. But you might have something that's very nuanced, something that's very individual. You might be coming from a place that's very different. I don't want you to catch special syndrome where you think you're a snowflake and you're the only one suffering with it, because you're definitely not. But equally at the same time, it's impossible for me to say the exact do this, do that. And that's why I never give people exact meal plans or the exact workout plan. Like I said the other day, I can't sit here and say, right, every single one of you is going to have to do bench press and leg press and deadlifts and squats and pull-ups, because not all of you have access to that equipment. Not all of you are at that level of fitness. Not all of you just can't do that. You have injuries, you have back problems, all this sort of stuff. So we build on principles. That's what we're doing. That's what we focused on these first 10 days, guys. And that's kind of what I wanted to round out today with as well. All right. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say on that stunt. The only other reason that you might not be getting results is that you're just not being patient enough. This is a big thing as well. And this is another reason that we track our data. If we are tracking our calories, if we are tracking our weight, if we are taking progress photos once a week, we should have enough evidence to see whether we are going in the right direction or the wrong direction. Now, once you've been doing that for 4 weeks, you have 4 data points, essentially, 4 weekly data points. You know whether you're going at the right trajectory and you know whether you're going at the right rate, at the right speed. Imagine you're like a space rocket trying to take off and it's kind of going into orbit and going into outer space. They are like mapping the orbit and the trajectory and all these sort of things every single second. You don't need to do it that meticulously, but once a week you need to be checking whether you feel like you're on the right flight path. Think about it that way, guys. So right now we're just gathering data. We're making small tweaks every single week. We're not chopping, we're not changing, we're not constantly changing our program, we're not adding in loads of things, we're not removing loads of things, we're not going crazy, because those lead to cycles of extremes, and those extremes aren't sustainable. You can only be on a roller coaster like this for a minute or two, can't you? Because after that, you'd start throwing up. You'd want to get off. It's not fun after that. It's the same with your diet. It's the same with your workout program. If you're eating 1,500 calories a day, running, going to the gym 6 days a week, trying to do 15,000 steps, it might work for 10 days. It ain't going to work by the end of the month. You're going to be crippled and you're going to be miserable. And I don't want that for any single one of you guys. So once you're making sure that you've created a sustainable deficit, a sustainable lifestyle, make sure that you are patient enough to see it through and focus on the process and not the outcome. Because here's another hot take for you guys. You might have it in your head that you want to lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever it might be. I guarantee you 2 things when you get close to that goal. 1, the initial goal that you set won't be the final goal that you set. And number 2, when you reach that goal, you'll be happy for about 15 minutes. If you've taken the time out of your day for the last 10 days to join me on these live streams, you are a type A overachiever. You are the type of person who wants to get after it, who wants to be part of the top 1%. Trust me when I say this, you are never going to be satisfied. You are never going to be happy. You are always going to want to chase the next best thing. And that's a good thing. We need men like us in this world because most guys aren't even trying. But don't get too attached to that initial goal that you have set, because I promise you it's not going to be your final place. Remember, we never complete fitness. We never finish this game until they put us 6 foot under. That's the final. That's when we've kind of checked out of the game. And then you get to decide whether you won or lost. But don't go too extreme, guys. I don't want you being 80 years old and thinking about living off 1,500 calories. We use our food as fuel to be able to fuel our lifestyle. That's really important, and that is the take-home message today, because that honestly is the main reason that most guys fail with their calorie deficit. It's not that the deficit is failing them, it's that they are failing the deficit. Lesson over for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. As I say, your task for today, super straightforward. I want you to think about the last 7 days, the last 10 days if you've been with me since day one, and think about every single element of it. What's sustainable and what's not. If all of it's sustainable, awesome. Keep moving forward. You should have no problem getting to whatever target you want to get to. If there's elements that you think, you know what, I probably did overdo it there, or actually I probably need to do it a little bit more here, that's fine. We can tweak and make changes as we go. That's exactly what we're doing over the next month. My goal by the end of this month is for all of you to have a sustainable routine that you can take away and implement, but also help other people to implement. That's the main thing. What I really want to do is give you the energy that I've got now. This is a transfer of energy. I am turning up to give you my energy. You are then going to give your energy to other people, because they're going to come up to you and say, hey man, you feel different. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's something about you. This is a true story, actually. So my parents came over for Christmas. And it was great to see them. It was probably the best Christmas we've had in 6 or 7 years because of all sorts of crazy stuff that's been going on. And my father had to have a hernia surgery at the back end of last year. And so he hadn't been able to go to the gym, and he loves getting his steps in. He loves getting his gym workouts in. He plays tennis once a week. He's a very active guy. He makes very sensible decisions with his diet as well. And I'd noticed towards the back end, before I left them in the summer, he was in a bit of a lull, bit of a rut. And then hadn't seen him for 3 or 4 months. They came out for Christmas, and he was giving off this energy, this frequency. He was vibrating at such a better place. And that was, I think, a lot of that was because he'd got back control. He'd been able to get back to his routine, his structure. He was in the gym 3 times per week, not going crazy, just doing the sensible stuff. But he was turning up, and he was doing it diligently, and he was doing it consistently, and he was doing it in a sustainable way. That's the most important thing, guys. That energy, that frequency, that vibration that you will give off, that's what I want for you. That is the goal over these next 30 days. Are we gonna lose 30 kilos? No. But am I gonna set you on the trajectory where you can hit your long-term goals? You better believe it. Whew. There we go, guys. Okay, we've got lots of conversations here. Let's go. 9 a.m. here, West Coast. Oh, God, you're going a bit hard there, Paul. 12K, love it. Yep, Montana locked in, loving these lives. Good stuff. Ooh, but it was incredible. Absolutely incredible. It was lovely. Feeling motivated, sleep focus to keep my energy up during the day without PM caffeine. Love that. Yep, 100%. Actually, you know what? That's a good shout. In terms of like a very high impact, high leverage habit that you can remove at the beginning, getting rid of the caffeine, or like, you know, not necessarily getting rid of it, but being more mindful of your caffeine intake and timing is a fantastic one that's going to give you a lot of leverage straight off the bat. So that's a really good one. Glad you're doing that. We got lots of Californians in the house. Love this. Hopefully you guys are having some good weather at the moment. Hey, finally able to catch a live stream. Let's go from Bakersfield. Another Californian. Love it. 15K steps here today. The weather is pure crap outside and legs are burning. Low impact spin class. Got the heart going and the legs moving. Tomorrow's Resistance Sunday. Loved it. Prepped and ready. Way to go, Richard. Yep, love this. Congratulations on your milestones. Thanks. Cheers to everyone tuning in. Yep, awesome. Yeah, thank you guys. Been watching over a year. You and other content creators got me in the best shape I've ever been in. 2025 finally blessed me with a physique I never thought I would have. Currently at 11% body fat. Man, that is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. That honestly means more to me than you could realize. It really motivates me to carry on and keep hopefully having an impact like that on other guys as well. And as I've had that impact on you, you will now have that impact on other people. And that's the coolest part about what we're doing here, guys. Anyone else get into a minute in the cold shower yet? I hit 60-second mark for the first time this morning. Fair play. Like I said though, remember, I've tested this all the way up to 90 seconds and personally, I didn't feel much of a benefit past 45. If you want to push it harder and further, you can. But remember, we're not trying to rev the engine at 9,000 RPM. We're trying to make this sustainable. So for me, 45 seconds every single day, it means I can be consistent. That's the most important thing here, guys. TRX, legend, really appreciate that. Thank you so much for the input there, man. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Tickle the algorithm. Yeah, let's a little tickle under the chin. Why not? The lifestyle is everything. I've done all the quick fix BS and none of it ever worked long term. This is the first time I've ever been sub 15% body fat and actually feel like I can stay there. Love that, man. Absolutely love that. I think that's so important as well. I talked about this with one of my clients the other day, and we'll talk more about this over the next 20 days, is that 15%, I think, for a lot of people, particularly guys over 40 who've got, you know, kids, responsibilities, busy jobs, stress, right? 15% is a great milestone, and it's a great sort of sweet spot, if you like, where aesthetics meets health. It's where you feel good, you look good, you're confident in yourself, your energy's up, you're strong enough to do like real life things, picking up your grandkids, for example. This is all like real life stuff that you want to be able to do. You can squat down and pick up your grandkid. That's an important thing. So like, yeah, I love that. Thank you for what you're doing, Dr. Doug. Find your channel literally changed my life. Legend, man. Thank you so much. Definitely changing your mindset, 100%. Deacon Doug preaching the good word. Doing my best. Yep, Deacon Doug. Yep, awesome. Got here late, but I'm here. Welcome to the party, Brian, my man. I've maintained for 3 weeks through the holidays and finally losing about a pound a week. Yeah, well done. Awesome. I tend to find guys fall into two categories. They either are like what I would call a hyper responder, where I will set them up with their program, give them their calories, their macros, their workouts. We'll talk about step targets, we'll talk about habits, all the stuff that we've talked about in a group forum. We're obviously doing on a more one-to-one private coaching sort of way. And every week they'll lose 1 to 2 pounds, and it's very linear and it's great. You know, they're happy, I'm happy, everything's great. Other guys like yourself, Russ, it can, was it Russ? Yeah, Russ. It can take like 3-4 weeks, kind of nothing happens, but then suddenly you get that drop and it almost like the universe kind of pays you back, like pays you a debt essentially, and you drop like 3 pounds in 1 week. One of my clients, Ken, actually had this not too long ago. He had been pretty much on that linear curve, like every single week, just drop, and then it stopped for like a month. And he's a very disciplined guy and he was loving the lifestyle factor of it, so he was cool. I knew he wasn't gonna deviate, but he was getting frustrated, as you would. Stayed in the game, and then literally overnight, one night, he lost 3 pounds. Boom, just fell off. So you got to just stay in the game. Where are we? I'll be watching the replay as soon as it's posted. Awesome. Yeah, good stuff, man. Ryan, couldn't agree more, bud. I set a goal in 2025 to start around 93, 94. My target was to hit 80. I achieved it. And like you say now, I'm over it and on to the next goal. This is how our minds work. And this is the thing as well. Like sometimes you feel like you're really down in the dumps. You sometimes, like, we're all guilty of feeling like we're a loser sometimes, right? We're all guilty of falling into that victim mentality, that mindset. We are all guilty of that. But if you're the type of guy who is hitting a goal and then never satisfied and wanting the next goal, trust me, you are not a loser. It's just about focusing and channeling that energy onto your next goal. That's the most important thing, okay? But this is also why I say to people, like, try to fall in love with the process. And it's easier to do that if you make it sustainable, guys. You are speaking the truth. Thank you, Bogdan, bringing me back into the game. Yes, let's go. I've already lost the weight. I want to add more muscle. Does extra calories help gain muscle, or will I just accumulate fat? So, my man, it depends. I don't know your exact situation. Obviously, you're not on my coaching program. What I would suggest, if you have been in a deficit for an extended period of time, put your calories back up to a maintenance level. You don't need to be going into a calorie surplus and bulking, as a lot of people will tell you. If you've been in a deficit and let's say you've been doing, let's just roughly say you've been in a 500 calorie deficit. If I was to say, hey man, you can have 500 extra calories per day, that's like an extra meal per day. You're gonna be loving life. Keep all the principles in play. Don't suddenly just start eating a load of shit. Keep the same principles. Whole single ingredient food 80% of the time. High protein, zooming out, looking at your calories in format of the week, not just the day. Keep all those principles, but go up to maintenance. You're gonna have so much more energy that you're gonna be able to push harder in the gym. The key 3 things when it comes to building muscle: progressive overload, protein, and the most important is sleep. Sleep is when your body recovers. You don't build muscle in the gym. You build muscle when you're recovering, when you're sleeping. So the 3 most important things when you want to build muscle: progressive overload, protein, and sleep, recovery, okay? This is why we don't train every single day. Funnily enough, actually, if you're serious about building muscle, you probably want to train less, but it's about training less with more intensity. It's about, again, it's the same principle. It's emptying the tank. It's using the fuel, the energy, the food that you have got for good purpose. So when you're going into the gym, it's not doing the same sessions that you've been doing. It might be the same exercises, but it's about really pushing hard to the point where every single set is almost a failure. Not quite, not to the point where you're hurting yourself, but that's how you build the muscle. Once you've been at maintenance for 3, maybe even 6 months, then you can go in a very, very slight surplus. But they've actually done recent research on this and found that you literally need to be in a 100 calorie surplus to gain muscle, no more. The old sort of text, and I used to be prescribed to this, was that you need to be in a 10% surplus. 10% is quite a lot. Let's say that your maintenance calories is 2,500, for example. That's 250 extra calories per day. That's a lot. That's a small meal. That's a protein bar, a protein shake. And it doesn't sound like much in the day, but it adds up over the weeks and over the months. And all you end up doing is accumulating fat. So, a little bit of a random speech there on building muscle. So hopefully that helps you, my man.